Well, hello there. My name is John Meyer. I'm a composer and I make samples, and I haven't done that in a while, so I thought today would be a good day to make a sound start to finish and do it as quick as possible. And I thought we would use my synthesizers that made me love synthesizers. Casio. I keep unplugging it. And the greatest demo song of all time. Side note, this actually belonged to my sister who I stole it from. She doesn't need this. I need this, so it stays in my studio. But today we're going to sample it. And it makes all different kinds of sounds. We've got a piano. Sounds like a piano, doesn't it? We have a guitar. Very lifelike. Flute. Violin. Sounds like Wall-E there. And then we have fantasy, which is my favorite. So I think we'll start there. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this into a virtual instrument, into a Kontakt instrument. And we're going to do it in a very simple way, very fast. I think I might want to do more with this keyboard in the future, but this is maybe a proof of concept to see if it's actually going to work. It's very noisy. The speaker doesn't work anymore. I'm not using the right cabling. And so there's going to have to be some noise reduction, or maybe I'll leave it in because the noise is sometimes kind of nice. But I did run it through some of my pedals. So now the first pedal in my chain is the Strymon Deco to add some saturation and some wobble. I love the wobble. Yeah, that makes it sound even older, like it's running through some crazy tape. Now delay, let's see what I got here. I don't want it to be terribly noticeable. A low mix. And then let's look at the big sky. Bring the mix down here. Now, typically I'm going to add those. Oh! See, I'm not a vlogger, guys, but I have a camera with autofocus now. Maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode. Normally, I wouldn't add these effects. I might add them later or resample them, but for today's purpose, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw them on the sound. So now the next step is to go into Pro Tools and see what we can do recording this thing. Try not to adjust too many settings, but I'll bring my ISO down. There we go. Better? How we looking? So I'm opening up Pro Tools, create new, Casio sampling. Sure. So I am going to create a new track. It's stereo because it's a mono output, but it's stereo because it's going through all of my effects. Let's see what happens when I play this. All right, we'll go with that. Now all I'm going to do, there's no velocity sensitivity. It's just one note. So I'm going to do it at its lowest setting, and I'm going to work my way up in fifths. Hit record. Now G. Now D. Now A. Now I'm going to go up an octave here. And then B. And then F sharp. And that's about as high as we can go on that keyboard. That's where we started. Okay, first things first though, we need to find some noise, which we have. We have plenty of that. I'm going to go to noise reduction, and I'm going to load in R6 spectral denoise. And I'm going to take it out of record, and I'm going to learn this noisy sample. If I play back, that's what it sounds like with the noise gone. Now, if I bring up my reduction, I lose a lot of top end. The trick is here, I'm losing a lot of that high frequency, but it's a balance between the high frequency and the noise. I'm going to separate this region, and I'm going to name this file Casio noise, just so I have that I can go back to, because it'll show up over here in my clip list. Let's just move it over here. All right, so now we're working fast. I'm going to tab to transient, which is going to jump to, that's a nice thing about Pro Tools here. I'm tabbed to transient and jumps to the very beginning. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my nudge to, there's probably a standard that I should do, but I'm just going to set it to, like, let's say 1,000 samples. Now, when I hit minus, it jumps back. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do 5,000 samples. And I'm going to jump back. And then now I'm going to cut that right there. Oops. And now I know that my sample starts 5,000 samples before that sound. Now I'm going to jump to the next one. I'm going to hit tab to transient. It's going to go to the very beginning. And then I'm going to hit the minus key, which is going to jump me back 5,000 samples. And then I'm going to hit Command E to cut that. And there's my first sample. Now, I'm going to leave it like that for now. And then I'm going to jump to the next. And so on. Jump here. Oh, I keep hitting fat fingers there. Now, are there more efficient ways to do this? Absolutely. I've got my wild track, and then I have, I believe I got my C. Let's run to the piano. Yes, I've got C. I don't know what C it is. I'm going to say C1. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all these, and I'm going to hit Command F. And in the beginning, I'm going to do a, let's say, 5 millisecond fade. And at the end, we'll do 500. And there's no crossfade. So it should draw in some basic fades for me. I can manipulate this further inside of Kontakt, but I just want to see how it works. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to hit Shift Option 3, which is Consolidate Clip. I've been pressing Shift Option 3 for 20 years, but I think that's what it calls it. It just makes it into its own region that I can't pull back or forward. Now I go to the next one, do Shift Command 3, and I'm just going to Shift Command 3 my way up. And now I have these. Okay, so I'm going to take these and I'm going to rename this one Casio _C1. And I'm going to copy everything before the underscore. And so this would be G1 because we're still in that octave. Now my next is going to be D2. And then after that, we have, what's a fifth up from D? We have A2. And then we go a fifth up from that, and we are at E3. Fifth up from that, B3, still in the same octave. And now we are in F#5. Command V, F#5. All right. So. Now, I think I got that right. I think I'm hearing fifths. All right, so now we have these files. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab them and I'm going to go over to this window here and I'm going to export these clips as files. I'm going to choose where I go with them and we're going to put them in Casio sampling, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a new folder called Casio samples. I cannot spell. All right. Now we got this new file. I'm exporting these as 24-bit 48K. Now I'm going to go down here and create a new track. And this track is going to be stereo instrument. And then I'm going to Kontakt. I'm going to wait for it to spin, spin, spin. Now, once I'm in Kontakt, the quickest way to do this that I've found, actually, there are quicker ways to do everything that I do. So don't watch my videos for efficiency. Watch them for my personality. No. I don't know why you watch, to be honest, but here we are. We have all my files, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to drag them in. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I don't like doing it that way. I'm just going to create a new instrument, and I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to go to Mapping Editor. I'm going to take all of these, and I'm going to drag them in, and then I'm going to pull it down to where it kind of puts them in a place where I can see them all. Otherwise, I have to zoom in and out if they're like this. But I'm going to zoom in like this. And now here are all my samples. Now, they are not in the right place. So there's a couple steps I follow. I select them all. I right-click, and I go to Auto Map Setup. Now, it is reading two things from that file name. One, Casio. I don't need it. Who cares? That's just the file name. But what I want to do here is put the note A2 in the right spot. And so this is kind of funny, but you go and you say, make it the low key. So that's going to make whatever that A2, E2, E3, whatever, it's going to make that the low key, and you press apply. Now, you need to go and make it the high key, and you press apply. Okay, so now it basically said it's the low and it's the high, and it puts it in the right place. So if I close this out, now all of my notes should be in the right place. So I could put this in record. Now, here's a problem. Notice this note C right here. It thinks C is an F, and C is not an F. C is a C. And so what we need to do is select all of these, right-click, go to Batch Tools, move root key to center. So now all of these notes are in the proper place. So I've got... Okay, so there we are. Now what I want to do is grab them all. This is a super simple instrument, and you can see how things could get more difficult, but this is just to test out a sound. So I'm going to bring these down. Christian Henson taught us all that we should pitch things down instead of pitch them up. And I agree that I think that does sound better. Oh, what is this guy? Did I do something wrong? Let's see. This is F sharp 5, and it probably should be F sharp 4. Ah, yes. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to move it down to F sharp 4. And then I'm simply going to grab this and move it up to F sharp 4. And then I could take this and move it down. So now, all right, now let's see how low this goes. It's always fun to take samples down lower than they're supposed to go. See, that's where the magic is. All right, now we've noticed something. these samples are taking a while. How long are they taking? Well, maybe 5,000 samples. So let's select this first Casio C1, and we're going to go down and we're going to open up the wave editor. Now we're going to go down here and we're going to look at this sound. I'm going to zoom in, and if I go to S start or sample start and I hit 5, 1, 2, 3, look at there. Let's zoom in, and then yeah, it's right where it should be. Now what I can do is go back up to this, and here's a little thing you learn pretty quickly, is that if I select all of these, oh, sorry, I can't even do what I'm saying, but if I were to grab here and select, it's highlighting this last one, this F sharp 5. And so what I want to do now is pull it this way, because this is the one I was working on, and now this one is highlighted over the rest, even though they're all selected. And I can go to all selected zones, copy current sample start setting. So now if I open these up, I have all of my samples starting at the right spot. So the moment of truth, I always play a B minor. All right. Let's mess with it a little bit. I wasn't going to do this, but let's make a pad out of it. You know, if something sounds bad, you just make a pad. If it sounds bad, make a pad. Am I stealing that from somebody? Let me know. If not, I probably need to make a shirt with that on it. Now we're getting closer to something that's a little more useful. Now, if it sounds bad, make a pad and add Echo Boy. So let's go to delay. Let's go to Echo Boy. And we'll go into space echo settings because they're just amazing. Let's go to spaced. All right, now we're getting closer. Let's look at looping these samples. So if I go into my wave editor now and I zoom out a hair, let's start with this low note, and I always forget how to do this, to be honest, but if I go to sample loop and click on this, now I can move my end time to here, and then I can adjust where the loop happens. And I can add a crossfade. I wish I knew this better. Can I do that for the other ones? Let's see. Perhaps there's a way to copy. Someone can let me know that. But I'm going to take my end here. Turn on loop. Let's add a longer release and add a slower attack. I'm always inclined to go and add some dynamics processing to it. I love this duck. You have to be playing, but... So let's move the Echo Boy after duck, which is just a gate plugin, but it allows for this type of thing. I think this is where I say I'm not sponsored by duck. I wish I was, though. It's one of my favorite plugins because you can draw in all the different shapes. And now I can make it snappier by going back to my attack. Back of the hair, and let's give it some grit about it. You're probably tired of me seeing the same plugins all the time, but they're just tools that get me where I want to go. So there it is. That's a sample. It took me less than probably half an hour, and I spent a lot of time messing around with it. And I would completely go further with it, and perhaps I'll do the other sounds and create something a bit more involved, but sometimes you just need to sample something, and I felt the need to do that. So hopefully this might inspire you to take something of your own, make it. I've got plenty of samples on my website that you can go download for free, and a lot of them are up on Piano Book. And you can go get those from the Piano Book website, which is a great resource for samples from people like me. Also, I'm working on something that I hope to share with you soon. It's perhaps a premium version of some of my sounds. So I'm still working out the details on that, but keep your eye out. And until next week, I'll talk to you soon. And I'll talk to you soon. That's what I say.